Hi, hello and welcome back to F1 Challenge VB. My name is Mephisto and our epic journey through the history of Formula 1 continues today with the 8th round of the 1964 season, the Italian Grand Prix. It was held on the 6th of September, it had 25 entries, 20 of them took part in the race with 6 having to retire. The race consisted of 78 laps completed in 2 hours, 10 minutes and 52 seconds. John Surtees started the race from pole with Gurney in 2nd, Graham Hill 3rd, Clark 4th, McLaren 5th and Siffert started from 6th. After a superb drive, Surtees won the Italian Grand Prix from McLaren, who finished 1 minute 6 seconds after Surtees. Bandini finished 3rd and was 1 lap down. Ginter took 4th, he was also 1 lap down. Ireland crossed the line in 5th, he was 1 lap down as well. And rounding off the top 6 was Spence, who was also 1 lap down. The fastest man of the race was John Surtees with a lap time of 1 minute 38.8 seconds. Greetings from the fantastic Monza Circuit, where a lap starts off with a long run down into turn 1, a fast open right-hander. Then we go into turn 2, a fast left-hand sweeper that brings us into the Lesmo, a double apex right-hander. Brake hard for Lesmo 1, keep it nice and tight, then feed the car through Lesmo 2. Curva Via Leone is next, a high-speed left-hander. Be careful as the barriers on the outside are very close to the track, so don't let the car go too wide. Lastly, we come into Parabolica, a long 180-degree right-hander. The first half of the corner is quite tight, however the second half opens up, but that brings us around onto the main straight, and that is a lap around the Temple of Speed, aka Monza. And here we are in qualifying, coming around to set our first flying lap, a 132.137, not a very good lap, although we do take pole position since no one actually went out to qualify, although this is about half an hour into the qualifying session, and then I managed to improve it a little bit later to a 131.727, still in pole position, and still because no one qualified, and in fact no one qualified at all during the entire session. They were given just random times, but at the end when I clicked on skip to next session. Anyway, here we are for the Italian Grand Prix, and we have the previous winners. Last time Andy won here was in 1958, so that was quite some time ago. Hopefully we can make amends here today. We managed to do that in a couple of other races this season, but we'll have to see if that holds true today as well. And here we have Higgs starting from pole with Jim Clark in second, more than 10 seconds between them. Jack Brabham third, fourth is Dan Gurney, followed by Bruce McLaren in fifth, and rounding out the top 6 we have Lorenzo Bandini. In 7th we have John Surtees, followed by Tony Maggs in 8th. Ireland is 9th. 10th is Chris Amon. In 11th we have Mike Hellwood, followed by Joe Siffert in 12th. 13th is Peter Arundel. Peter Revson is 14th. In 15th we have Phil Hill, followed by Ian Raby in 16th. In 17th we have De Cabral, and in 18th we have Maurice Trintignant. Trevor Taylor is 19th, followed by Joe Bonnier in 20th. 21st is Ludovico Scarfiotti, followed by Mike Spence in 22nd. 23rd is Andre Pilet. 24th is John Love. 25th is Baghetti. 26th is Rudaz. And Rusogeki is 27th. 27 people on the grid today. That is the grid lineup, and hopefully things will go quite okay. And because there is a huge difference in qualifying times, I decided to kind of give a few places back and then try to regain them. However, I will very soon grow to regret this decision, and later still I will realize that nothing I would have done would have made any difference to change the end result, and you'll pretty much see why. And well, during the race. Anyway, I don't want to spoil too much as we now come through Curva Grande. There, one of the Ferraris kind of lost control, flipped over, but landed on the right side up and managed to continue racing, and we are now down in 14th. That's more places that I wanted to give away, but there we go. And here is a replay of the start. Quite a bit of wheel spin, and then I slowed down immediately. I could have probably stayed in the lead until probably turn 1, maybe turn 2 as well, but I'm pretty confident that after that I would have lost a few positions anyway, because this circuit doesn't really suit the Honda The Honda doesn't have very high straight line speed, which is kind of not good considering that high speed is very recommended here. As we now move on to lap 2, and we just overtook Innes Ireland for 13th, which is absolutely fantastic. Hopefully we can catch Peter Revston as well. As we take a look at a replay of Rudas, who's coming around to start lap 2 here, and something happened to his car. Apparently an engine failure. He pulls to the side and he is out of the Italian Grand Prix already. As we now come around to finish lap 2, and Andrea Pilet is right beside us and he is gone. Look at that speed. I'm almost... There we go. I'm redlining the engine. There's no more speed, and still Pilet is somehow able to pull away even though I'm at my full speed. And then we move on to lap 4, and for some reason Tony Mags holds up everyone else, which allows me to jump up into 11th, which is fantastic. Slowly catching up on Peter Revston here. Maybe we could overtake him in a few corners, maybe a few laps. As we take a look at a replay of Maurice Saint-Ignan, who is coming into Lesmo here. He touches one of the BRPs there, loses control of his car, ends up at the side and decides to retire. As we now move on to lap 5, and André Pilet pretty much whizzes past us as we come into Curva Grande here, but then he slows down and we move back up into 11th quite easily there. However, I'm sure that as soon as we reach a straight part, André Pilet will once again overtake us, and that's exactly what happens as we come through Curva Leone. He goes a bit wide through this corner but manages to keep his speed, and Ludovico Scarfiotti also manages to go past us, so we are now down in 13th and quickly losing position. It was at about this point I realized that there was nothing I could have done to change the outcome of this race. Again, the Honda is not very good on straight line speed. It's good and it's fast through corners, but not very good at high-end speed, not very fast. As we now move on to lap 7 and trying to catch up to Ludovico Scarfiotti, who is consistently pulling away. As we take a look at a replay of Cabral, who has a suspension problem. He pulls to the side of the circuit there and he is out of the Italian Grand Prix. As we now move on to lap 10, and Mike Spence squeezes past us through Parabolica here, and we drop down to 14th. That's quite disheartening, but there's no real way I could have done anything more than this. As we now skip towards the end of the race, lap 21, and I see some black smoke at the side of the road. That was Mike Spence, who retired from the race, which means we move up into 13th, which is, well, quite fantastic, although I would have liked to move up even more. The AA is much faster than me, and 2, there aren't enough laps left in the race to catch up. As we see a replay of John Love, who has a suspension problem. He pulls to the side of the track and he is out of the race. And we also have a replay of Mike Spence. Of course, he's coming out of Parabolica. We see his engine burst into flames there and pulls to the side, and that is the end of his race as well. Quite sad for him and very good for us. As we now move on to lap 23, chasing after Ludovico Scarfiotti still, and Phil Hill is also out of the race at this point, so hooray for him, although that's not going to help us very much because he was behind us. And here he is coming out of Curva Via Leone there, and we see smoke coming out of his engine as well. He pulls to the side and he is also out of the Italian Grand Prix. Still trying to chase after Ludovico Scarfiotti, but at this point I kind of gave up. There was no way I could have caught him in just a handful of laps. He is almost 10 seconds up the road. 13th will be the best we could do this race, unfortunately. As we now move on to lap 24, Scarfiotti is kind of stagnant at 10.2 10.5 seconds up the road as we take a look at a replay of Jim Clark coming around to set the fastest lap of the race. Congratulations to him. And this is in fact the a new track record, so doubly congratulations as we now move on to lap 26 as Jim Clark crosses the line to finish the race and win it. So congratulations to him, and we are about to come around to cross the line and finish one lap behind. And here is a replay of Jim Clark crossing the line to win the 1964 Italian Grand Prix. Once again, congratulations to Jim Clark. He did very well. He was fast, he did everything right, and here we are coming around to cross the line ourselves and finish the race down in 13th. Quite disheartening, but this circuit never would have worked for us, not for our car. Even if I wouldn't have given away the positions at the start of the race, the result would have been pretty much the same, because of the fact that the Honda doesn't have good straight line speed. It's good in corners, but that's kind of it, and there aren't many corners, and even when there are corners, they are generally very fast corners. But hey, that was the Italian Grand Prix, I guess, and well, this is not going to affect our standing in the championship too much, so I'm not all that worried about it. Anyway, here are the career statistics, and this was Andy's 129th Grand Prix. His best started from first, has 10 pole positions, has set 21 fastest laps. His best finishes in first, has completed 85 races, 68 of them in the points, has won 39 Grand Prix, 4 at the Indianapolis 500, 6 in Monaco, has 7 championships under his belt, has scored a total of 461 points, has retired 44 times, has experienced 2,795 out of 3,437 laps, has 6 bronze trophies, 15 silver trophies, 39 gold trophies, and as an extension, 39 podiums. And here is a quick look at the championship standings. Andy Higgs is still leading the championship from Jim Clark, who is in second, John Surtees third, fourth Lorenzo Bandini, fifth Chris Amon, and Peter Revson and Mike Spence fighting for sixth. The last person to score points is Hap Sharp down in 21st, and bringing up the bottom of the driver's standings is De Cabral down in 39th. So those are the driver's standings. Let's now move on to the constructors, where Honda are leading the championship from Team Lotus, who are second, Ferrari third, fourth Rock Parnell Racing, Peter Revston fifth, RRC Walker Racing Team sixth. The last team to score points are John Wilmot Automobiles in 14th, and bringing up the bottom of the constructors we have John Love in 23rd. So that was the Italian Grand Prix. Once again, not a very good result for Andy. However, on the whole, we're still doing very well in the championship, and I think that Andy just became the 1964 World Champion. I'm not quite sure. I think there's still a chance for Clark or Surtees to win the championship at this point, but the chances of that happening is quite slim. On the other hand, the Constructors' Championship is under quite a lot of threat from Team Lotus, so we need to try and win the United States Grand Prix and the Mexican Grand Prix, two tracks which should play to the Honda's advantages. Again, it's a very good car going through corners. It's not very good on very long straights, so the last two races of the season should help us quite a lot. But anyway, that is the end of this video. Again, a disappointing result for Andy, but there was not much I could have done to change any of that. The car just doesn't have the top end speed needed to be competitive at circuits like Monza and Zandvoort, so that's why we were struggling in these past two races. So, don't forget to vote for next season's team. Link is in the description. I also have a second channel where I will be playing all sorts of different games. At the moment, I'm doing a playthrough of Homefront and the movie. So, if you're interested in any of those games and more, there will be a link in the description to my second channel as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay sharp.